Welcome to today's lesson. In this tutorial, we will solve multi-step equations with variables on one side. So we are still solving equations, and that means to find the missing value of our variable. I have an order of suggested steps, and I suggest we follow those steps in order today. Let's look at example 1. The directions say to solve each equation, and then let's verify that our solution is correct using the substitution property. So here's our first equation. Step 1 says, remove any fractions by multiplying the entire sides by the denominators. Well, I don't see any fractions, so we can skip to step 2. Step 2 says, remove any parentheses by distribution. Well, geez, I don't see any parentheses either. This must be an easier equation. Number 3, treating each side of the equal sign separately, let's combine like terms. That's what we're going to do in this first equation. I see on this left side of the equal sign 9d and negative 2d. Those are like terms. I know they're like terms because the variable parts are identical. So therefore I can add their coefficients. 9 plus negative 2 becomes 7. So that becomes 7d. The plus 4 will come down, the equal sign will come down, the 32 will come down. Step 4. Add or subtract any number term to the right side of the equal sign. My number term is 4, so I'm going to subtract the 4 away. Subtract from both sides, draw the line, and cross it out because now it's gone from this left side. 7d will pop down, and I have some math to do over here. 32 take away 4 is 28. Final step. Divide by the coefficient of our variable term. The coefficient of our variable term is 7, so I'm going to divide by 7. Both sides, and cross that out. D will be all by itself, and 28 divided by 7 is 4. I am pretty confident with my work here, but let's always verify our solutions using the substitution property, and I'll do that over here. I'm going to substitute the 4 back into my original equation wherever I see a d. So 9d becomes 9 times 4, plus 4 minus 2d becomes minus 2 times 4. My equal sign, and I like to put a question mark over that to tell people that I'm verifying, and 32 is on the other side of the equation. Let's see. 9 times 4 is 36, and then plus 4. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, so I will just put minus 8, and that should be equal to 32. Let's keep going. 36 plus 4 is 40, minus 8, and guess what? 40 minus 8 is 32. I know that I am correct because this verifies. So I can circle in D equals 4. All right, let's look at example 2. I have the steps right there to follow, so let's follow along. I do not have any fractions again, so I can skip step 1. But step 2 says remove any parentheses by distribution, and I see parentheses, so I know I need to distribute right here. This 3 is going to multiply to the w, and it's going to multiply to the 4. This 2w will just drop down. 3 times w is 3w. 3 times 4 is 12. I need the plus signs for both of those because they're still positive, equals 27. Let's see what step 3 says. Treating each side of the equal sign separately, let's combine like terms. And I see like terms, 2w and 3w makes 5w because 2 plus 3 is 5. 5w, I've got the plus 12, and I've got the equals 27. Step 4 says let's add or subtract any number terms to the right side of the equal sign. Here's my number term. It's being added right now, so to undo that, I need to subtract 12. Subtraction is the inverse operation for addition. 12 minus 12 goes away, becomes 0. 5w will be here, and 27 take away 12 is 15. My final step, let's divide by the coefficient of our variable term. That's a 5 in this case, so I'm going to divide by 5, both sides. I'm going to cross out that 5 because 5 divided by 5 is 1, and I'm going to have that w equals 3. I'd like for you to pause the video and verify that this solution is true. Pause now and make sure that we are correct. Thanks for showing your work that this is the correct solution. I got 27 equals 27, and therefore I circled W equals 3. Well done. Let's look at example 3. Now we can use step 1. Step 1 says to remove any fractions by multiplying the entire side by the denominator. And I see a fraction this time. So I'm going to put a parenthesis around this entire left side of the equal sign and multiply by 2. I'm going to put a parenthesis around the entire right side of the equal sign and multiply by 2. I'm multiplying by 2 because that's the denominator that I see. Now why am I doing that? Because 2 divided by 2 will cancel away, and that will be gone. And the rest that I see is left. I still have a 3, and I still have this set of parentheses with the 3x plus 5 inside. Of course, I still have my equal sign, and over here I have negative 12. No more fractions. Step 2, remove any parentheses by distribution. I have this set of parentheses, and I need to remove the parentheses. I'm going to distribute the 3. 3 times 3x is 9x, and 3 times 5 is 15. I need to separate my two terms with the plus sign. I have my equals, and I have my negative 12. And then it's the same last 3 steps that we've been doing in the last 2 equations. Treating each side of the equal sign separately, combine any like terms. I don't have any like terms this time, and I don't have any like terms on the other side. So I can do add or subtract any number term to the right side. Here's my positive 15. I'm going to put in a negative 15. I have to do that on both sides. I want to draw my line and cross out because that's now 0. I've got 9x equals negative 12 minus 15 is negative 27. My final step seems to always be dividing by the coefficient of our variable. So let's divide by 9, and I will have x equals negative 3. Before we circle this answer, let's verify that it's true. I'm going to substitute negative 3 right in here for this x. We have 3 halves, and then a parenthesis, and then 3x will turn into 3 times negative 3, plus 5, and then let's close that parentheses, equals, I'm not sure, negative 6. Let's see what happens. I'm going to leave the 3 halves alone for a little bit, and I'm going to figure out what happens inside this parentheses. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, plus 5. And still working inside these parentheses, negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4. And now I'm going to multiply these two fractions together. 3 over 2 times negative 4 over 1. 3 times negative 4, the numerators become negative 12. 2 times 1, the denominators become 2. It looks like I see that I'm going to be correct. Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. And that is what's on the other side of the equal sign. So I am correct, and x equals negative 3 must be the solution. We have one more example. Let's follow our steps to solve this one. Again, step 1, if you see any fractions, let's multiply the entire side by the denominator. I see this fraction, and I'm going to put this entire side in parentheses, and I'm going to multiply by, well, it's a 2 again because the denominator is 2. I need to do that on the other side of the equal sign. I'm going to multiply by 2. This time, when I multiply this, all the stuff in parentheses, the 2 attaches to this term, but it also attaches to this term. This is a distribution. Look how that's different than example 3. Example 3, we just had this one part. Example 4, we have 2 parts. There's this parenthesis part, and then there's this separate term of the 6. So 2 times this would be 2 times 1/2 times this 4x plus 10, and 2 times the negative 6 becomes negative 12. On the other side of the equal sign, we have 22. Watch out for your parentheses because we have not done anything with this other set of parentheses. 2 times 1/2 basically cancel away. That's just 1. So really, the 4x plus 10 does not need to be trapped in parentheses anymore because there's just a 1 times that parenthesis. We haven't done step 3 in a while. Treating each side of the equal sign separately, combine any like terms that we see. Okay, well I see a 4x, but I don't see any other terms that have an x. So that's not like terms. I'm just going to drop that down. I see a 10 and a negative 12. Those are like terms. And 10 minus 12 is simply negative 2. We get down to our regular looking two-step equation. We are going to add or subtract this number term. Since we have a minus sign now, I'm going to put a plus sign underneath it. Minus 2 plus 2 makes 0. Let's do it to both sides and cross that out. 4x equals 24. And then our final step, as always, that division of our coefficient. Divide by our coefficient, and I get x equals 6. I'd like for you to pause the video this time and verify that this solution is correct. Watch out for your parentheses and your fractions. Pause the video and see that we are correct. Thanks for verifying that this is true. I substituted the 6 right here for the x. Inside this set of parentheses, I eventually got 34. 1/2 times 34 is 17, and then 17 take away the 6 that is on the outside of the parenthesis equals 11. 11 equals 11, so I know that I'm correct, and I boxed in my final answer. Thanks for watching this tutorial. This will have some practice in class, of course, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.